Hey, Lord's Legacy family. This video is just going to be a brief walkthrough of our yearly training videos and paperwork for plan of care meetings, or person-centered service plans as they're called now. But as you opened up your email, you've obviously made it to this video here. We've got our 3 videos for watching. Video 1 is just going to be a quick consents walkthrough and just how to submit paperwork. Video 2 is our emergency training video to ensure everyone's got that training down. And then finally, we've got our abuse, neglect, exploitation, isolation, and punishment prevention training. Again, just making sure all of our participants that are in our program have got that figured out. So things that we are going to ask you to send back to before the meeting happens is going to be the consents, the training completion forms for both the emergency training and the prevention training. We're going to ask for a list of just medications to make sure that we have all of those in case of an emergency. And then we ask for the most current Medicaid card. A lot of this information we're also going to be able to get from your case manager. So just make sure to double check. We'll double check when we get to the meeting that we've got all of those things. So as we're working through the trainings here, you can click on any of these links here to go to the direct videos, or you can click on the link right there. It will take you to a playlist to play all 3 of them. Scroll down to the bottom of your email, you'll notice also that we have all 3 forms: the consents, the emergency training, and then the prevention training forms, completion forms right there, and then the videos as well. So I'm going to do a brief walkthrough of just how to submit it, and then we can do a walkthrough of consents. So let's go on and jump in. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the consents here. If I hit the download, it's just going to download it onto my computer and it's going to make it difficult to fill out. If I click print, it's actually going to open up another tab in the top here. You'll notice I've got all of my consents here, and then I'm able to actually fill things out. So I'm able to put whichever dates. I'm able to put the date in there. I'm able to put my own initials. Fill all that information out as it's going along. After you've filled everything out, if you hit the print button again, instead of print, it'll typically bring up your usual printer. If you come down to save as PDF, you can then click save. This will put it in typically into your downloads folder. I'll shorten the name there just to consents. I can hit save. If I then come back to the email that I originally had, once I've completed the consents, the emergency training, and the prevention training, I can then click reply to send it back to whoever sent me the email to begin with. I can then attach files. And if I go to my downloads, I can then select and then click open, and that will attach that. I can do that with all 3 of my paperwork here. Once that's done, I hit send, and it gets it sent back with all of the information that you saw me there fill out. All right, guys, so now let's do a quick walkthrough of consents just so that you are aware and can see everything. So starting off the top of consents, this is going to have all of the basic information where you can put people's names, date of birth. The date of admission is typically when they started at Lord's Legacy. We've got that on file here. If you don't know off the top of your heads, don't worry about that. Again, also their Medicaid ID number. If you have that on file, if you know that, you can put it in there. Their social security number, you do not have to put on there. We're sending this stuff over email. We can always enter that after the fact. And then guardian is going to be the guardian, you as the guardian. So as we run through the consents here, this first page is just going to be a basic, hey, I've received all of these, which this is all the consents that are, this is kind of the catalog of the index of everything that's going to be later in the consents, just saying, hey, I've received a copy of it. Below that, we've got information on other providers that can be given to you by your case manager, but just acknowledging that there. And then this one here, guardian and or power of attorney. This one here, we want to just double check to see if you are their guardian. We just need to have that paperwork on file. Again, before I get too far into consents here, we want to make sure this is a brief overview. We would love for you, and we would ask you to read through the consents fully to get a more full picture. My descriptions are not going to have every little detail in them. So please read through your consents before signing. This section here is our grievance and complaint policy and procedures. This is a requirement for the state of Kentucky, and we want to stay in compliance with that. So you've got a copy saying, hey, we've received a copy of the grievance and complaint policy. This is where you can sign things down here as you're signing along. It's just that simple. And when you put the date in the top, it actually autofills all the dates for you. So you don't have to remember to put the date in for each and every one. As we come down, you've got the full copy of the grievance policy. The next section here is going to be notice of privacy practices. So this is where we're protecting all of the information on all of our participants and all of their medical care and everything in between there. So this is just on our policies and practices for protecting all of that information. And again, there's an acknowledgement down at the bottom of that. Our next section here is just permission for medical treatment. If there is a issue that comes along where your loved one needs medical treatment while they are out with their staff or under our care, we just want to know which hospital of choice you prefer in there. If you do have an advance directive, please let us know that and let us have a copy of that advance directive. That way we know what to do in those emergency situations. And then finally here we have permission for medical visits. If we are providing medical care or transporting your loved one to be able to go out and do medical visits, we just ask that you mark the box there, or if you don't need that from our services, you can say no. Our next section here is medical administration. Similar to medical visits, this is just giving medications. If your loved one does need help receiving medications and you're wanting our staff to do that, just please make sure to mark this box and give us a heads up along with that. Our staff go through a medical administration training that they need to go through to help meet those standards for the state of Kentucky. That's taught under one of our nurses here that help teach those classes. So this next section here is insurance, end of life expenses, and then future planning. This next section here is authorization to request or release patient protected health information. So this is all the health information, everything from diagnosis to just all the different medical things. What this does is it allows us to release information first to the case management agency. And then the next page looks very similar, but it then goes to the physician or doctor's office that your loved one goes to. So if we have any of that medical information, this gives us permission to give that over to your either case manager or to the doctor. Next section here is just authorization for photography and display of name. If you're on any of our social media, you know that we're posting photos and we're talking about all the different goals that people are doing all the time. This allows us to be able to do those things. If you don't want your loved one to be any of those or in print in any of that, just click no. Next section here is release to consent to transport. This is all of our transportation information, whether that's through community sports in the car or whether that's our bus with our ADT. This also has a section on anybody that you would not want your loved one being picked up by. So if there's anybody that you do not want to be picked up by, this is where you would put that info. Next one here is going to be for our residential folks. This is where they've got the rental agreement and renter's insurance information. This next section here is going to just be staffing expectations for all of our community supports, or basically all of our one-on-one support. So that's community supports, community access, support employment, or personal assistance. This is just simply an acknowledgement that, hey, we are going to do our absolute best here at Lord's Legacy to make sure that your loved one are receiving all the supports that they need. If there's ever a scenario where there's a car breakdown or the staff is having an emergency situation, we're just asking you to acknowledge and say, hey, yes, we know that those things can happen, and to always make sure that you have a backup plan in case of those situations. This next section here is disruption of Medicaid billing. If there's ever a point where we're not able to bill, we're going to be giving your case manager and you a heads up. It's usually just a piece of paper that needs to be signed, and it's pretty easy fix, but we put that in there just in case. We need to be able to bill for services to be able to pay our staff, keep the lights on, keep the ministry going. This next section here is just contact info. If you could put down your current address, email, and phone number, whether you would like us to be able to send you texts or not, and then your preferred method of communication. That way we know the best way to get a hold of you. Finally, the last section here is the statement of individual rights. This is on the very end to help when the state comes in and do their audit. They always want to be able to find the statement of individual rights. This is everything that your loved one has as a right as an individual. So these are all the rights listed out. And at the very end, there is just a signature and then the date. And that pretty much wraps up consents. Again, once you've finished consents, you're going to hit print again. Make sure to select save as PDF. Click save. That'll save it into your downloads there. Again, you can then go back to your email. You can hit reply, hit attach files, and then select the item. Again, along with the emergency training and the prevention training, we want to attach those in there as well, and they can be filled out the exact same way if you click on them and then hit print, just like that, and then hit send back. All right, guys, thanks so much. Can't wait to see you at the Plan of Care meeting, and hope you all are having an awesome day. Thanks.